Good. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Samar El-Manharawi. I'm the Senior Vice President for Majd Al-Futtaim, covering human capital and sustainability. Today, we are very excited to have you all with us. We're going to take you through the journey to sustainable consumption, a conquest, or a collaborative mission. We will start this session by a presentation from my end, and then we will turn it to the panelists. We have very excited panelists with us today, and we're going to learn a lot from them. So let us a little bit introduce Majd Al-Futtaim for you. So who are we? Majd Al-Futtaim is a conglomerate of a company that covers 15 countries. We cover 600 million customers and that visit us in a variety of, I would say, engagements. We are covering malls, we have lifestyle, including Ski Dubai here in UAE, and also we are covering Majd Al-Futtaim, so Majd Al-Futtaim Carrefour as well. We have 46,000 employees across the 15 countries, and our revenue is very close to $10 billion. So we're very excited again to be here to share with you our journey on the sustainability side. The thing that we did in 2019 is that we committed to become net positive in water and in carbon emission by 2040. Not a lot of retailers had this pledge, and we're very excited to do it. So it's not an easy journey, but we're on our track to achieve those targets. So a little bit about Majd Al-Futtaim and its ESG ratings. We are rating as 15.8. We're very low risk when it comes to global retailer. You can see down there that as a food retailer, we rank 5 out of 119 food retailers. We're also on the global universe. We're ranking as 1,944 ranked company out of 15,000 companies. Again, very proud, a lot of hard work that went into us being recognized to this level. So let's talk a little bit about Carrefour, which is more the topic of today when it comes to retail. And the idea of today's session is to talk about the full value chain from production to retail to consumers. So grocery retailers, we have 480 stores. The majority of our stores are hypermarkets. You're welcome to visit the hypermarkets in UAE. It's big formats. And as I said, we operate in 15 countries, and we have 770,000 customers on a daily basis. So again, an interesting footprint that touches the life of many of our customers. Let's talk about a little bit of the sustainability landscape in the MENA region and why MENA region is very unique when it comes to sustainability challenges. The first thing is water scarcity and conservation. With per capita renewable water resources below the scarcity threshold, this by itself creates a big challenge for us as a countries and retailers as well. The other thing is that when you think about renewable energy, in MENA, the emissions per capita is considered to be one of the highest, with 13 tons of carbon dioxide emissions per capita per year. It's one of the highest per word. And the other thing is the circular economy and waste management. We have also not restrict recycling and reusing kind of policies in place, which is threatening that our municipal solid waste generated will be doubled by 2050. So unless if we do something about this, it's not going to be a very good story by 2050. Now, when you think about all these challenges and how it's impacting us, the full value chain from production to retailer to consumers, it creates a lot of pressure on the agriculture challenges. The scarcity of water, the high temperature, the desert environment. Just think about the cost of creating agriculture farms in this part of the region is quite challenging. And if you think about GCC only, this is a unique kind of preposition for GCC with agriculture challenges. But also when you think about Africa, its water contamination is on the other side, which we have to spend a lot of investments to clean up the water to make sure that it's available for our agriculture. The other thing is the health and well-being challenges. So chronic diseases, obesity were considered to be one of our customers when we did our surveys, which is also having a customer perception there, because our customers feel that there is a limitation of their ability to adopt healthier lifestyle with a perception that it is expensive. And we all know that it's not that expensive to be healthier, but again, it's a mix between culture, lifestyle, and perception that eating healthy is a little bit expensive. The other thing is the sourcing channel. So again, if you think about GCC more than Africa, it's a distributor-led sourcing with the majority of our products that we sell are imported products. So in GCC, it's 20% of our products are locally produced, which is, again, by itself cause a bigger carbon footprint from the time that you have the products produced, manufactured outside of the countries, all the way till it makes its way to our shelves. The other thing is the acceptance of sustainable practices. Again, the perception of eating healthy is costly. Also, the perception of having reusable bags or using recyclable bags. Why will I pay for the bags? I don't remember to bring my bags to the retail grocery supermarket. And it's creating a lot of challenges, educating and re-educating our customers that this is best for them, for the generations to come, and for the environment. So just a snapshot of our sustainability strategy as Majid al-Futtaim. So our strategy is there today, change tomorrow. And we have 3 strategic pillars when it comes to our sustainability. The first one is transforming lives, which has our communities in the center of it. Rethinking resources, again, have sustainability practices in the center of it. And empowering our people, which has our people in the center of it. Now, I'm not going to go through all this. This is 21 initiatives that we have in place, but for the sake of this presentation and the relevance for the topic, we're going to focus on healthier products and services. We're also going to focus on rethinking resources with a focus on circular economy, net positive, and net positive water and carbon. So what are we doing at Carrefour specifically to address all the challenges that I mentioned? The first thing is that we actually are part of the Consumer Goods Forum. We signed 2 pledges. The first one is Collaboration for Healthier Lives, and the second one is Food Waste Coalition. The first one we pledged to increase the percentage of healthier food that we're offering our customers. We are pledged also to increase the sales. So it's not only offering the products, but actually making sure that it's sold at affordable prices for our customers. And the third one is to implement initiatives to encourage our consumers to buy those healthier products. On the Food Waste Coalition, we launched War on Waste. So we're very proud of this. And we actually managed to save 20,000 tons of food in 2 years. And this initiative is still going. We are looking now into policy advocacy with the governments and the municipalities where we're operating, because by the end of the day, if we don't have proper recycling, affordable recycling facilities, it's going to be very difficult for us to continue with this. The other one also we're working with the government on is the near expiry policy, and how can we influence and offer our customers near expiry products, which is, increasing the shelf life at least 1 a day. It will have very positive impact on our waste. Addressing the challenges also, we're looking into local sourcing and supply chain. So supporting our local farmers is big on our agenda. In Egypt, for example, we collaborated with the USAID, and we reached to small local farmers. We provided them with education of how to have sustainable practices when it comes to farming and bring their produce to our shops and make it available for the customers. The other one is in Georgia as well. We collaborated with the corn farmers and did the same practices, implementing the European sustainable standards and making sure that they have a space on our shelves to put their produce, and it was a great success. The more you make your consumer aware of those local produce, the more people are very much eager to go and buy them. The last one is the wheat farm agreement. So we actually signed to purchase all the wheat that's going to be produced from the first wheat farm in UAE. So we're very happy to be the first company that is signing to get the full produce, and it is now available on our shelves. In-store farming also is another one that is helping us to reach 2040. So we have 6 hydroponic farms. Our customers like the experience. They actually get the fresh lettuce or vegetables directly from in front of them. So it's been proven very successful for us. Now, furthermore, we have healthy kitchen aisles in most of our major stores. So we are promoting healthier lifestyles where our customers can go and see what they can buy organic food, they can buy high enriched protein food, etc., veggie food, and vegan as well. The other one which we did is a pilot store that we did called the Bio Cafe, which is again focused about sustainability, so sustainable practices, products, packaging, including refillables, which is not really available in this part of the world. So you can refill your detergents, your fabric softeners, etc. And it's available in one of our malls in UAE. If you would like to visit it, it would be great. The last one is our COP28 store, and I really encourage those who didn't visit it to visit it before the end of the COP28. And our store is one of its kind. It is designed totally with a sustainable design mindset. So we have reusable. We used our pallets from our distribution center to do the flooring, to do our shelves, and it's reusable. So after the store is, after COP finished, and we will take it actually to redeploy it in another store. We have our lighting coming from 3D fishnet, 3D printing. Our products there is all in a better, I would say, packaging, and healthier for our customers. So again, we would like to invite you all to go and visit it. Now, the other thing which we did is that we're, of course, as many grocery retailers, we're promoting for private label, which is help on 2 sides. The first one is that we're sure about the ingredients that we put in our private label SKUs or products. And also, we introduced our own traffic lights. If you all carry any packaging and you look at the package, you will see how many sugar is there, how many proteins, etc. And sometimes the customers don't spend the time to actually read through the labeling. So what we did is that we created our own kind of traffic light, which shows you whether it's a red, green, or yellow. So it directly gets the attention of the customer to read through and understand. And we put it in front of the label itself, so it will be very easy for our customers to see. 70% of our private label products are locally produced. So again, it's helping the local production and reducing the emission because, as I said, I mean, the time from production to the shelf is shortening big time. Animal welfare is another thing that is on our mind. So we rolled out our animal welfare policy with a focus on cage-free eggs. So now you can see that we aim to sell 100% of cage-free eggs in all our Carrefour stores. We're starting with the private label, so all our private label eggs are cage-free eggs, and this is going to continue going in the 15 countries. Suppliers is, again, at the top of our minds. So as Carrefour, we have suppliers from bigger FMCGs to very local, small farmers. So educating our suppliers on the sustainable practices is quite important. We developed a supplier procurement policy with specific standards for our suppliers so that they will be disclosing their carbon emission, their water consumption, and their practices when it comes to human rights, employment, etc. We trained 300 suppliers to date, and we're expecting at least 100 of them to be compliant with our standards by 2025. Now, a lot is happening, right? But we're very excited to deep dive into 2 initiatives that we just launched. The first one is the collaboration we had for change. We launched the Supplier Sustainability Forum earlier this year, and it consists of our, I'll say, big FMCG suppliers where we reach to them and we say, listen, I mean, we all have a great effort when it comes to sustainability practices. We all want to reach either net positive or net zero. So why don't we collaborate as big FMCGs and Carrefour, having the presence we're having in the countries we operate in? And we found a lot of positiveness from them. So we ended up with 16 FMCG. We started small with 6, 7, etc., and we grow now to 16. You can see the logos there, under the patronage of the Ministry of Climate Change and Environment and the support of the Dubai Chambers as well. We managed to meet with them earlier in the year. We had 4 sessions, and we ended up by announcing our pledges in COP28. This happened actually last week under the patronage of Her Excellency Minister Mariam Al-Meheri. We all came together and we announced our collaborative impact goals with putting working groups in 2024 to ensure that those goals are going to be actually reported to, and we're going to be achieving what we're trying to achieve. So again, pleased to announce the collaborative impact goals. The first one is about green gas emission. So all of us will be contributing into Scope 3 reporting, and we are going to contribute towards reducing of 1 billion kilogram of CO2 emissions by 2030. The more we have suppliers, this number will increase, but at least we have a target in front of us, and there's a lot of discussions now of how we're going to do the disclosing, how we can actually collaborate to reduce our supply chain to ensure that we achieve this target. The other two is the supplier packaging. So all of our FMCG companies participating pledged that they will be participating to 95% of the product offering at Carrefour store by 2030 to be sustainable packaging. And then the last one, not the least, is the healthier and more sustainable products. So we'll be working with them to ensure that the products that they put on our shelves are better for our customers when it comes to the healthier lifestyles. So again, very, very pleased with this outcome. The other initiative we had is the Choose Better. So we just launched it in parallel to the COP28. So Carrefour launched the Choose Better campaign, which is a program designed to empower, educate, and reward our customers for eating healthy and choosing smarter when it comes to the products that they are purchasing from us. Under 3 criteria, that those products will be accessible, affordable, and appealing for them. And we pledged also as Carrefour that we're going to reward the customers for adopting such behavior. So it's a win-win situation. So the program falls under 3 pillars: better for you, better for the planet, and better for the community. Better for you, it's all about the products that you eat, what you get into your bodies. And we collaborated with How Good. If you go to our store now in COP28, you will see How Good logos there. So the logo will tell you whether this product has low carbon emission or low water consumption, or maybe have fair labor. So you will be able actually to choose the product that you're going to be purchasing. Better for the planet is our next phase, where we're going to be promoting sustainable packaging. We're still putting the criteria of how those will look like, but again, the customers will be able to choose whether it has less plastics, has less packaging, recyclable, reusable, etc. And the better for communities is where we're going to be making sure that we are rewarding our customers for purchasing local produce, or maybe supporting certain initiatives that we're going to put in place, dedicating space in our stores to showcase work related to the communities and the products there. So again, very excited to see this. This is just a short video of how healthier, better choice will look like. Excuse the music part of it, but it's good to have a look at it. So as you can see, it's all about communities. It talks here about the nutrition aspect of it, affordability, because we want to take away from the consumer the mindset that everything is expensive. local produce, and rewards, right? We believe that behaviors change by being rewarded in the right direction. So this is our Choose Better. We already started deploying it in some of our major stores, and again, in COP28 store, it's there for you guys to have a look at it. And that's it for me. So now I'm very pleased to introduce the panelists. Before I do this, I will introduce the moderator, and I will give her the stage. So Ms. Doreen Bricknack, she's currently leading the Accenture Ireland Sustainability Strategy practice. Doreen specializes in the area of sustainability, growth strategy, and innovations. She works across public, private, and nonprofit sectors, helping organizations to accelerate their journey towards net zero. And last year, she was named as Consumer Good and Retail Lead as part of the high-level Climate Champion team. With a background in economics and foreign policy, she also has deep knowledge in human rights, emerging markets, and finance. And last but not least, Doreen is the chairwoman of the Irish Refugee Council. Please, the stage is yours.
Yeah, it's working? Okay, what an intro. I'm going to sit down. Thank you so much, and great to hear about the tangible steps that you're taking. When this panel went in, I thought, oh gosh, is this going to be like somebody putting in a meeting at 5 o'clock on a Friday or 5 o'clock on a Thursday, as the case may be? But then it actually, I think it gives us an opportunity to reflect on our time here and talk really openly and candidly between manufacturers and retailers and the ecosystem space of what are the things that we want to take home when we sit down at our desk Monday morning and we're back into the grind, and it is a grind. What shall we take away? And I think having this conversation as the last conversation for many of us at COP, hopefully we can do that. And just thank you very much to the audience for showing up and being here. It's wonderful to see so many people, and I hope this will be a stimulating and interesting conversation, but one that we can really identify those actions of where we need to make progress. So I'd like to welcome my panel to the stage. First of all, I'd like to welcome Sharon Bly, who is the Director of Health and Sustainability at the Consumer Goods Forum. Secondly, Hannah Sundergaard, who is Chief Sustainability at Arla. And last but very not least, my good friend, Omar Katatani, who is the Head of Sustainability at Majid Al Fatam Retail. So this is obviously an Action COP, and we've heard a lot about Action COP, but it's also the year of the global stocktake. Accenture did some research on the top 2,000 companies and how they were performing against their net zero targets. And for our industry, for retail and consumer goods, it's not well. Right? We're not doing well as an industry. For consumer goods, it's 27% of the industry are on track to meet net zero targets. And for retail, and I don't want to make this a competitive thing, it's only 6%, right? So that really, really presents us a problem. And companies, like, we know what companies are struggling with. Companies are struggling with Scope 3. Right? It's really, really tricky, and not just Scope 3, but adding biodiversity and nature and the just transition and everything else. And like, it's kind of tough, like we have to do it, right? It's not like we can do, one first without the other. Like, we have to do it, and we have to do it together. But I think our industry, and I often am, I'm often like probably Sharon, consumer goods and retail, what do you say? And then I'm on a panel with steel or cement. And I think our industry is just so interesting because it's so very personal, right? It's the products we buy, it's the shampoo that we put in our hair, it's the food that we give our children and our family. So our responsibility is not just to transform our own sector, but to transform the lives of our customers as well and make sure they're enabled on their net zero journey. So the challenge is very big. We know that for a lot of customers, they're just not relating to our sustainability messages. So I think we need to do three things, and this is what our theme of the panel is. You know, look upstream and look at that scope 3 and what we're really doing. Then look downstream, looking at our interactions, our behaviors with the customers, their behaviors. How are we communicating with them, communicating and making sure that what we're doing flows to them and then influences their buying decision. And the third thing, it's how do we work together better, right? There's so much duplication from data requests to different initiatives, which are all great, but how can we just don't have time for everybody to do it all together. Do it alone. We do have time for doing it together. So they're the three things that I want to talk about today. Let's go upstream first. Let's talk about scope 3. And Hannah, I'd really like to know from you, what are the big challenges that you're still facing? It's a really tricky commodity that you're dealing with a lot of the time. What are the big challenges and what are some of the progress that you can point to and tell us what you've done?
So thank you very much, and thanks for inviting me also to this panel. I think if I just give a little bit of background to Arla, we are a dairy cooperative. We are owned by 8,500 farmers. So we have our own scope 1, 2, and 3. And I guess we are probably a little bit unique in that we started focusing on scope 3 first. And why did we do that? Because scope 3 is, more than 90% of our scope, our total scope. So it's big for us. We are on science-based target, and just to go to your how are we doing question, then we have 15 as a baseline. We have an objective on 1 and 2 to go down by 63%, and which is 1.5 degree compliant. And there we are around 25% to date, so we are roughly where we need to be. On scope 3, we have a target of minus 30%. We have reduced by 9% to date, and therefore that's a space where we need to accelerate. So what have we done to do that, I guess? I think our journey actually started a number of years ago, where we started measuring emissions on farm. So we scaled that out across more than 90% of our farms in 2020. So it meant that we could start working with, at farm level, what is it that needs to be done at farm level. But we soon realized that that wasn't enough, because we need for farmers, in our case, to combine profit, money, and climate. If we don't do that, it won't go anywhere. So that's where we reduced an incentive to farmers. And when I say we, I'm employed by the company. I didn't actually make any decisions. The people that made the decisions is a board of farmers. And they set the target. They decided, we need to try and make that target. So they took up to 500 million of their milk price and are now paying it out to the farmers that are doing the most. Which means that last year we reduced by 2%, so we are accelerating. This year it looks like we are going to beat that without sort of declaring number yet. So we are accelerating now, and have we found the formula? I am not going to say yes yet, but we are certainly getting better now. Yeah. And we have a big scope 3 for the person next to me. So I guess it's important for the chain, for the scope 3 chain, that we move. And we feel that. So that's why we are focused on how can we get our farmers moving here.
And can I just actually build on that and maybe pass to Omar? Like, what you're saying there is incentives work. Yeah. And we need to incentivize the ones that are most needed to go. And I guess your corporate structure and the fact that you're a cooperative owned by the farmers themselves makes that very easy. But Omar, when you're making that less... Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Just comment on that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it makes it easier because it's, you know, it's money that farmers need.
Right. Yeah.
That they're reallocating. But I think it's what we kept saying to them is you need to take the first step, then others will come with you. So it's needed. I wouldn't say it's easy.
And so, Omar, when you're looking at your suppliers, how do you prioritize? How do you engage? How do you incentivize? And who do you work with in order to, to really understand who is driving the main emissions for Majid?
Yeah, thanks, Darren. I finally got it right after knowing you for a year now. Yes, I want to give 2 examples here. First, on our sustainable procurement policy, which Samar touched on earlier in the presentation. So the policy is there; it's applicable for all our suppliers, and requiring them to do, to comply with the minimum requirements on energy, on water, on circular economy, and also on the social part. We thought that it's not going to be possible, right, to roll it out to 50,000, 60,000 of our suppliers in one go. So we decided to prioritize based on the size of the companies or size of the supplier. And therefore, we categorized this into the top 100 suppliers by purchase value. And then for these suppliers, we told them you have until 2025. So this was launched 2 years ago, so we gave them like 4 years to comply. And then for the rest of the suppliers, we said that, okay, we will work with them afterwards. So in order to just get the momentum rolling and start learning from learning lessons in order to roll it out easier. So we do the prioritization based on the procurement value. The other example is, which we also touched upon earlier, is our Supplier Sustainability Forum. And when it started, we said that, okay, we need to work with our suppliers. What do we do? I remember someone was saying, okay, let's get the list of top suppliers, right? So we went for our top suppliers because we believe they have the resources, they have the mandates internally also, and the pledges internally to advance sustainability in their companies. So that's how it started. Now, the idea is obviously not to only work with the biggest and the top suppliers, but I would think about it as, learning lessons that we'll learn all of us together, and then gradually introducing it to the smaller sized companies. And talking about the SMEs, we mentioned that we gave them training on sustainable and responsible procurement to over 300 suppliers, because we don't want to leave them alone, just send them a policy and say that, okay, deal with it. No, we want to just upskill them and bring them to the minimum level that we expect.
And Sharon, can I ask, from your perspective, we see so much activity in our industry in terms of supplier engagement. Every manufacturer and almost every retailer has a supplier engagement program. I guess, what's your perspective on, could there be more coordination? There must be just so much overlap in terms of all of the retailers asking all of the suppliers to do the same thing, to fill in the same types of forms, often in different formats, and it's putting a lot of activity out there, a lot of reporting activity, when the reporting activity needs to be the implementation activity. So what's your perspective on that?
Thanks, Darren. Yeah, there's absolutely an avalanche of reporting, and many of the CEOs, I work for the Consumer Goods Forum, so 400 companies, including Majim Al Futtaim, who are really trying to collaborate and work together towards positive change. And we very recently, before our board meeting, which was last month, spoke to a number of CEOs, and they said, Sharon, I have more people working on getting data than actually implementation. So it is a real challenge. So we have models that have worked in other kind of thematic areas that we work on, like food waste, getting all of our manufacturers and retailers using the same protocol, the same measurement structure to understand kind of where we stand. We do the same on plastic waste and circularity. We've created golden design rules that all of our members are implementing and working towards. So we're doing that on multiple topics. We're a Race to Zero accelerator, obviously for the United Nations, and at our last board meeting in Japan in June, the 58 CEOs on our board said that's not enough. So we decided we wanted to create a 9th coalition of action, because these coalitions of actions between retailers and suppliers, they really work. So we created this a new safe space that we're building at the moment, and one of the areas will be to help retailers and manufacturers to come together around kind of the similar standards, the similar questions that I'm sure you're being asked on your Scope 3, as you said, is probably 90% of the retailers, 90% of their Scope 3 is dependent on a lot of the progress that you're making. So we're going to be launching in 2024 a new coalition of action on net zero and the data asks and data quality and data operability between the systems, between retailers and suppliers. We're working on simpler solutions that can help with that coordination. But I fully agree there's just too much happening. So that's one of my objectives in 2024, to help simplify it if in any way we can.
I might just change around the structure a little bit, because I think this is the right time to get into what's holding us back. And maybe it's back to this side of the room. What is holding back that retailer-manufacturer collaboration? Do you see as stoppers, do you see the data sharing? Is there a pre-competitive angle? Is there anything really stopping us from sharing more data and being more collaborative to simplify that reporting journey?
Yeah, I think just to comment on, I think the forum that is being created here, I actually think is very right. I think retailers and FMCGs that are in a leading position, I think we also have a little bit of a responsibility to to share some of the stuff that can happen with others. So I think that is right, very right. What is holding us back? There are some technicalities in the way that we count right now. If somebody in the room could get this greenhouse gas protocol over the line, it would be very helpful. So there's a little bit of ambiguity in the rules right now that I think might hold us back a little bit. We've decided now that it's not going to hold us back anymore, because we're gonna base our work on what we believe to be the future now. But I guess that if organizations like Consumer Goods Forum can push on that, I think that's going to be really useful. And then I think also there is something about how do we bring this to every corner of our organization. It was also said a little bit before, because interactions between retailers and manufacturers happens at many different levels. And not everyone, I know in our business, we've had to do a lot of training of our account teams. A famous quote was he's not here, nobody knows him, but our sales director in the UK said to me a few weeks ago, who would have thought that it was this difficult to sell milk? And I said to him, well, you're not selling milk anymore. So there is something about how do we equip selling and buying teams for this, because this is not what they used to talk about. So I think there is something about we need to bring our organizations, not just in our sustainability teams, but broader out also up to speed to be able to talk about these things, right?
Just touching on the last point, so we just earlier this year we launched our sustainability training for all of the new joiners. So any new joiner, wherever, however senior or junior you are, you will need to, as part of your first week's orientation, to know about sustainability, and our commitments, what are we doing, what do we expect from you as a new employee to help drive this sustainability strategy, because yes, we are a core sustainability team, you know, at the corporate level, but I think in the future it needs to be embedded, and we're starting to get it embedded, and I think 10 years from now, there needs to be a full-time sustainability person who sits in the legal or in the commercial or in the finance, right? I mean, we haven't thought of it, but it needs to be more and more embedded, I would say, and I think Samar would agree with me, as also the head of HR and sustainability. Wanted to talk about the barriers, so your initial question on the barriers. Look, I mean, on Scope 3, it's fairly new for us, so we started the baseline exercise just a year ago, right? And in 2023, we said, okay, we want to try to tackle this bit by bit. So we worked with the CDP, the Carbon Disclosure Project, and sent the invites to 500 of our top suppliers. We got a response rate of like 7%, very low. You know, the people who responded are the big, you know, the Nestle's and the Unilevers and the, you know, the big multinationals.
And the
but
Arlas.
then, yeah, exactly, and Arla. But then after the 20 suppliers, you would jump into, I'd say you'd fall into small and medium-sized companies who are big suppliers, but you know, sometimes they have like a Gmail account or so they're very regional and very local here. So there's no capacity from on their side to do this reporting. Maybe our choice with CDP was a bit more complex, but you know, we're learning as we work. So there's this thing about the capacity and capability in these companies. But also here, I also would like to note something, because there seems to be a disconnect, to be frank, between the global headquarters of the top FMCG companies and the regional office in this part of the world. And I'm just being very frank here, right? So we look at the big companies without naming them, right? So they have a proper strategy, you know, there's a team that knows how to do the accounting for the carbon there, but then in the regional office here, either people, they don't have the resources, so there's only, let's say, one person doing this, or they don't know how to do it or how to calculate their Scope 3. So there needs to be, I mean, from the FMCG company's side, more integration towards all of the companies. It could be traditionally because regulations were in Europe and the US, right, to start on reporting, and this is still not required legally here in this part of the world. But this is just a note that this is coming. I mean, at least the demand is coming from the retailer side, and hopefully we're going to push for the demand to come from the legislative side.
I can just say I think that's super fair, and I think it comes back to that we need to push this knowledge out in the organization. So just looking at our own organization, yes, there's definitely more knowledge sitting centrally than there is in each of our offices regionally, and that's a job to be done. I completely agree with that.
I agree, but I hear from so many sustainability or chief sustainability officers that they just feel that they're swimming upstream, and if it's not in the procurement teams, the buying teams, the commercial teams, it won't happen, and that capacity building and capability building is just so key that everyone feels they're responsible. So it's great, Omar, that every newcomer feels accountable and it's part of your strategy, and they get that from the get-go. And I think that new generation of employees anyway will expect that, and that is something that they will want to work for you, and they feel that it's embedded in every single role at your organization. And for the small organizations, it's not that the intent is there, it's not that they don't want to do it. The data is in an Excel file or a PDF, or there's no interconnection with kind of broader systems. So there's definitely a role that we have, and we work with some of those bigger organizations to bring everyone else on the journey with us. Yeah. And I hear from that we need to kind of make sure that what we're saying in the big board rooms and at global level really is reflected here in the regions. Yeah.
And don't underestimate the signal you're sending, is what I would say.
Well, just to continue this healthy tension and collaboration, let's look downstream and let's look to the consumer, right? We know that, and this might be shocking to the people in this room, but we know 60% of consumers just do not relate to the concept of sustainable living. It just doesn't resonate with them. And how are we going to design the products of the future that will enable everybody even if they can't, if they don't resonate that, to continue their own journey to net zero. So how do we innovate the products of the future? How do we communicate what we're doing better to customers without leaving them very confused with windmills and green fields and the same thing that we see over and over? And really, you know, try and shift our portfolios in a more sustainable way, because I guess you being the front, you know, being the ones that are interacting with the customers and you designing the products, how do we do that to create the portfolio of the future?
Yeah, so
Omar,
I think it's a shared question and shared responsibility, right, between the retailer as the face of the consumer and the CPG companies. So from a retailer, right, I mean, we're here to sell, you know, a variety of products to a variety of people, different backgrounds, different needs, different beliefs, right? Different ethnicities also in parts of the world like the UAE or the Gulf region. So we're here to provide all the products. Now, what we did, and what Samar also touched on in the keynote, is to launch the program that's called Choose Better. So what we're trying to do basically, at this stage, we're not trying to remove, let's say, bad stuff, or not bad, I'll say like less healthy products or less sustainable products. At this stage, we want to empower the customer with the information that they can do the right choice. And we're trying to make it in a very simple manner by, you know, a simple name that's called Choose Better of the campaign, and developing simple logos, just, you know, a Choose Better logo on the shelf or on the product itself. At this stage, we don't think we want to go into details of saying, now we're experimenting, right? So we don't want to give, let's say, the customers details about, let's say, I don't know, deforestation, or where is this product coming from, or deforestation, or the fish overfishing, if it's a seafood product, right? We want to tell them that this is better, and then maybe give them a QR code that they can go and learn more about the product. Because there are lots of certifications, Fair Trade, Rainforest Alliance. Many people don't know what these, and they don't know, I mean, is this good if I have a, I don't know, Fair Trade product that's, I don't know, very high in sugar, but is this right? Is this a good choice for them or not? So we're trying to simplify the messaging, again, from our side, and then we're trying to base it, we are basing it on science. So on the health and nutrition part, we're working with a nutritionist, consultancy that's helping us, you know, back our claims on whether if this product is healthier than that, right? And on the Better for the Planet, or on the sustainable sourcing, we're also working with How Good, which we mentioned earlier, who have this full database of I don't know how many million points of data on every single ingredient that they can crunch, you know, and give you a proper data based on science again, right? So that's what we're doing at this stage, empowering customers, giving them this information. I anticipate in a couple of years we need to start taking bolder actions and saying, okay, we're going to take, let's say, the worst 5% of products in terms of, let's say, carbon impacts or so, and then we're going to remove them from the shelves. This is my speculation, but it's definitely not at this stage that we're going to, let's say, we're going to take these actions. It's more about letting customers choose now, have the right information, and then, you know, it's a very dynamic market, right? So lots of stuff would change, I think, in a couple of years.
Great.
Yeah, so I think the future of food will change, but also, exactly like you said, Omar, the future of supermarkets will change, and what will be on your shelves in the future will look different. And I think you'll learn very fast with better choices, and those types of test and learn initiatives, we've done them in 9 countries around the world. We did about 80 different initiatives last year, and we looked at kind of all of the different interventions, what works and what doesn't, and we published this year actually a playbook of interventions and their effectiveness, and the labeling and the transparency is intervention 1, it's the foundational piece, but you have to ladder on so many different levers and so many different behavior chains to actually get that impact. Reward and incentivization really does work. So all of those parts that you've integrated into your program, we really can see that you can have impact at scale, and that change is happening, I would say, in multiple markets around the world. So there is hope that things are changing. It's just getting the right model and bringing people on the journey with us. And they expect you, to the retailers and manufacturers, to have made those choices for them. when they walk into the supermarket or when they pick your product off the shelves. There's a lot that they do not want to have to think about, and they won't. They'll think about product and price. And all of those kind of, like you said, the choices have been made by the retailers and manufacturers who are designing those future products. So yeah, just making it easy and accessible, I think, is the winning formula.
Yeah, no, and I'd really love to hear about designing, the products of the future, and how do you, meet the demands of today, the very huge demands that our food system will continue to have and grow, while designing those products that will stay on the shelves in the future.
So I guess alongside what Omar has also said, I guess we need to make some choice now, or give some choice. So the innovation that we do now should be giving consumers choice. I think also that it is food that we are talking about. So a lot of what we do with food is we cook with it. Now I think the platform, so it's about what happens in store, but it's also
Mm.
about what happens off store, online kind of thing. So in our business, a lot of the impact that we think we can have in supporting consumers to change the way they eat is also change the way they cook. And this is about, in each of our markets, and it will be the same here, we all cook 5 to 10 things. So how do we help consumers gradually change those 5 to 10 things that we cook to be more plant-rich, for example, to be better for you? So I think there's also something about how do we center in around the fact that it's food that we are dealing with, and it's habits in the kitchen and how we do things there that matters. So so I think that's key as well.
Yeah, and go ahead.
Just to build on what you said, Hannah, the recipes and kind of cooking and like changing 1 or 2 meals a week has had has been very successful for the kind of the collaborative work that we've done. So there's really something there, and not even telling consumers that it's good for you or good for the planet. It's easy, it's convenient, and just making it online. We've done some brilliant online activations and just helping people with 3-item recipes. That we have already kind of, that they are better for you and better for the planet, and people, they really love it. It works very, very well.
And if I could I think actually what we need to get to is we need to make the most impact with the least change by consumers. Because we don't like to change. So how can we get the biggest difference to what happens with the least change by us, right? So I guess another thing is, we need to look at all our products that we currently have that people love. How do we make sure that they have the healthiest profile they can have? And something that we have worked on in the region is, some of our core assortments. How do we make sure that we have the right relationship between the things that you really want from dairy, which is the good nutrition, with the minimum amount of sugar, fat and salt in the products. Yeah. So that's also something that actually, because those are products that people are buying in a very high volume. Yeah. So just getting those into the right spec, I think is key as well.
I never thought I would say this for my last COP panel of what is quite an exhausting 2 weeks, but I wish this had actually, a conversation could go on longer. But I think what is very clear is that this kind of magic between manufacturers, between retailers, and serving the needs of the consumer in a way that makes it easier for everybody and doesn't put all of the responsibility on the consumer is where we can all together really make a difference. But Omar, can I just give you the last word as the host? Is there anything, I guess, that you will be taking forward from COP that you will take back to your desk on Monday morning as you sit down for the next year?
On Monday, I'm going on leave. In January, first. So look, lots of great insights this COP. I mean, very busy, lots of stuff happening. Like at the moment, there are maybe 50, 60 panels happening at every single moment you have, right? So it's an overwhelming amount of information. But I see the same, I mean, I've been to several panels, and I've seen the same messaging everywhere. that yes, nobody can do it alone. We have to do it together. I see the message of taking action, even if you fail fast and fail forward, because you cannot wait for it to be perfect. And they say letting perfect be the enemy of good, right? That's what they say, right? So it is about taking action, trying, right? Sharing your experiences, sharing your learnings, and we're all in this together, I would say, right? So it's very interconnected.
Very good. Thank you all. Thank you to. I think we have to call it there. We don't want to keep people anymore. So thank you so much, and safe home to everybody. And thank you very much. And I hope to see everybody back here again in the next year, that we have more than 27% and 6% of retailers on track to meet net zero by 2050. So the gauntlet has been thrown. Thank you.
See you in Azerbaijan, in Baku next year.